Welcome to the Top Rope Podcast. Yeah. Woo! What do you want to talk about? This is our weekly review. Grades from Raw, NXT, Dynamite, TNA, SmackDown, Rampage, Collision. We got it all covered right here, right now. Give you my move of the week, match of the week, moment of the week, and we'll break down the Top Rope Podcast men's and women's top 10. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. If you're listening on audio on Spotify or other platforms, please rate the show. Back after a hiatus, let's get to it. Monday Night Raw. I'm going to give you my top three, and I am going at number 3. That main event, Seth Rollins defeating Sami Zayn via a roll-up. Then we get the Drew McIntyre attack. He attacked Jay backstage too, I would say for sure now, right? Maybe we get a tag team match in the future if they're going to turn Rollins into a heel for his feud with CM Punk. There are definitely some hints of that. Be a good way to do it. You can get Rollins and Drew if they can kind of set some of their history aside. Maybe they could tag up and take on Jey Uso and Sami Zayn. Where does Jimmy Uso factor into this? I think he's hurt, I believe, for now. But yeah, that wouldn't be a bad way to go for kind of a side story going on for the rivalry between Seth Rollins and CM Punk. So glad they are heating that back up. But for that final match and the attack by Drew afterwards, I'm going an A-. That's my number 3 moment from Monday Night Raw. What a hell of a Raw it was. We had the New Day, both Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston turning heel. That swerved me. Didn't see that coming. I think everybody and their dang brother thought it was going to be Xavier Woods putting the knife in Kofi Kingston's back. I figured we would see Big E, but I thought maybe he would be there to try to kind of calm those guys down. And then Xavier would have turned on Kofi and kind of Big E in the process. But instead, we see Xavier and Kofi both saying some terrible, awful things to Big E, some of which were true. You know, Big E was hurt, leaving him, going off, doing his own thing, and then doing the announcing thing. And now he said in that 10-year anniversary he wanted to come back and be their manager. And that's really kind of what set things off with Xavier and Kofi being like, where were you before? So honestly, that all made a lot of sense, but it still worked in turning the crowd against Woods and Kingston. And it'll be very interesting to see what happens now with the New Day. You know, they were saying Big E's never going to get cleared, which makes me wonder, is Big E cleared or is he close to being cleared? Because this might sure work fine and dandy without a big rivalry against Big E if he just goes back to announcing or doing whatever and is not in the story after this 10-year anniversary show. Sure, still could work pretty well. But man, oh man, like if you're going to do that, I think it has to be Big E being right and square in the middle of it. This kind of just would get the feud going. But it all revolves around whether or not Big E is cleared. Maybe even if he's not, I don't know if you'd want to have him come in and manage somebody else to try to fight against the New Day, because then he would need 2 guys to manage. I mean, I don't know. Maybe that would kind of work if he manages, I don't know who it would be, but maybe one of these up-and-coming teams, and they could have a good rivalry against the New Day, and Big E's a part of the story if indeed he's not cleared or is never going to be cleared like they said. But I'm just kind of wondering if he might be or might be close to after what we saw on Raw. Very, very shocking. I think, this was great, man. This was great. It's a I think it's better than if they would have just turned Xavier Woods heel, because then you got him and Kofi for a rivalry for a while there. But am I going to care about Xavier Woods after that rivalry and story with Kofi if he would have turned? Maybe not. I think this has a better chance to have some legs to that story. That's my number 2 moment on Raw, giving it an A-. And number 1, I'm going that opening segment, CM Punk and Seth Rollins back and forth on the mic. Then we get a brawl. Then we get Sami Zayn and Seth Rollins on the mic battling after that, setting up the main event for later. I'm giving this an A. We've been waiting for this story. Some injuries, other stuff involved. Why it hasn't happened yet, but we know that Seth Rollins, for realsy, was not happy with CM Punk coming back to WWE. So, when's this going to happen, though? When's the one-on-one happen? Is it at the Royal Rumble? Or do they just do some kind of things now and then in between leading up to the Royal Rumble? Both men declare for the Rumble. Maybe we have CM Punk eliminate Seth Rollins at the Royal Rumble, and then Rollins is already on the outside. Maybe then Punk gets close to the ropes, and Rollins yanks him over the top and eliminates him, even though he was already eliminated, and then that fuels that rivalry even more for a match at WrestleMania. But I'm just wondering, when CM Punk pointed at the non-existent sign and that favor from Paul Heyman. I mean, we know that Roman Reigns does not have a championship right now. So, I mean, he could have been talking about something else, but if it's the favor, like, CM Punk has done everything else, but when back in the day, even though he was the champion, he didn't get that main event. Didn't get that main event at WrestleMania. Is that the favor? Is that worthy of a main event? Just him and Roman? I'm not buying that. But I think there's so many moving parts here with that favor that could possibly get in the way of CM Punk and Seth Rollins battling at WrestleMania. But to me, that's definitely a WrestleMania-worthy match. But that was my favorite segment from Raw, just because it gets that CM Punk and Seth Rollins feud moving. And it's just very interesting how much everybody is behind CM Punk. Clearly, by the time that whole segment was over, it's CM Punk chants. There were no dueling chants. We weren't really singing Rollins' song towards the end at all. Logically speaking, with as polarizing as CM Punk is, it would make way more sense for CM Punk to be the heel in this and Seth Rollins to be the baby face, but the crowd's just so behind CM Punk. There's hardly any of that hatred left over. I mean, that just shows you the two differences of the fan bases, I think, between AEW and WWE. WWE fans, clearly, extremely happy to have him back. And I'll say that he has had a hell of a run so far in his return to WWE. I think his AEW run, all the backstage stuff aside, was just not that fantastic. He was hurt too much. I know he's been hurt in WWE since he's been back, but wasn't that fantastic in AEW. Just didn't look that good in the ring. Maybe that was revolving around some of the injuries, but I think he's looked way better in the ring since he's come back to WWE and is doing a darn fine job, and the crowd fully supports him. And I have no problems with Seth Rollins being the heel in this, and I think it's very, very good television. Given Monday Night Raw an A- this week. Thought it was one of the best Raws of the year. And now let's move on to NXT. But Raw definitely in the running for show of the week. NXT, I'm not going to give you my best top 3. I'm just going to give you some general thoughts. Maybe more like a worst of than a best of. I just didn't really have any favorite moments. But Eric Bischoff coming out there, wanting to play mediator, or, as he was doing with the stirring the pot. Likes to stir the pot. I think this was just a marketing ploy, but I thought he did a fine job at first, and he didn't really say a whole lot before Ridge and Trick started jawing at each other. Going to give that a C+. Ren Sinclair qualifying for Deadline over Kalani Jordan. That was shocking. I mean, I guess they have some other stuff planned for Jordan, maybe getting back her North American women's title. I don't know, but Ren Sinclair winning just doesn't do much for me as far as the Deadline match goes to determine the number one contender. I know by the time you're watching this, all that's going to be said and done with Sunday as of this recording. I haven't had a chance to watch it yet. Maybe check it out here in just a little while. But going B- on that. Battle Royal was decent, but not really into the no quarter catch crew at all. Miles Bourne, I will say, though, does look like a skinnier, younger version of Randy Orton. Not only his look, but also in the way that he moves. Giving that Battle Royal a B-. Didn't see Nikita Lyons losing to Carmen Petrovich. They are not making Lyons look very good since her return, not booking her strongly. And honestly, I've not been that impressed with her either since she's come back. I want to be. I bought her stock early on, really high on Nikita Lyons, but she's not been popping. Not been popping for me right now. Give that match a C. We also had Roxanne Perez, women's champ, face-to-face with Julia and Stephanie Vacour. And then a brawl, definitely some star power there. But the segment overall wasn't that spectacular, giving it a C+. Also didn't really see Eddie Thorpe qualifying for the last chance on the men's side of things for Deadline. Meh. I wish they'd push Lexus King more, but he took the loss there. Eddie Thorpe qualifying. And just, man, I don't know about this Deadline match. It's just not a whole lot of people in those that I'm all that interested. A few, but not many. Given that men's Deadline last chance qualifier, a C+. Overall NXT grade, a C+. On to some AEW. The Continental Classic is in full swing right now, and I'm loving it. I thoroughly enjoyed it last year. I think it's brought a little life into AEW. It's just kind of funny, though, because I do criticize AEW for not telling the best stories along their journey here. They need to tell better long-term stories and not just throw matches out there. And they have been doing a little bit better job lately with the Death Riders. I think that's kind of going down just a hair of late. So it's like, if you want to get me interested, tell me some stories. Tell me some stories. But then I'm sitting here telling you that the Continental Classic, which is just all about some wrestling, is very intriguing to me. I just think that the whole outside interference not being a factor makes it fun, man. Makes it, we need some of that, but AEW has way too much of it. So the fact that we're getting this Continental Classic and it's just straight one-on-one, you gotta go, the heels, man, the heels especially, gotta go old school. Gotta get their foot on the rope when you're on the 3 count, ref's not looking, distract the ref, get him turned around somehow for only a couple, 2-3 quick seconds, and kick him low, blow him, whatever you gotta do, but it's harder for them to figure out ways to cheat to win, so it's interesting to me to see how they are doing that without just a classic cliche run in, let me go get on the ropes and have the ref have his back turned for 20 seconds and pretend like he doesn't hear anything that's going on in the ring. And I like the way the points system works and how they have 2 different leagues. I think the top 2 guys from each league will then battle it out. And then the winners of those 2 matches will fight each other, and the winner of that will be your Continental Champion. I like it that they're making Okada defend the belt in the tournament rather than just this whole thing being merely a number 1 contenders tournament. I'm into it, man. And the way they started it off Dynamite, this match is a nominee for Match of the Week. Kyle Fletcher beating Shelton Benjamin. Fletcher was 2-0 at the time after he beat Benjamin, 3-0 now. A- for this match, and Shelton Benjamin still go. Boy, oh boy. There was 1-2 spots that weren't exactly crisp, But for the most part, this was a highly entertaining match, and the Hurt Syndicate is looking strong overall so far in AEW, and Kyle Fletcher is absolutely a star in the making. I'm not so sure about losing the hair. It made total sense for the storyline. Absolutely. With Will Ospreay, and I want to be nothing like you, so cutting off his hair, but I like the way he looked with the hair. But storyline purposes, it worked, and you could argue, that has helped him rise his stock by doing that, so I have no problem with it. I did like the hair, though. But that was a very entertaining match. One of the things I liked about Dynamite, definitely in my best of on Dynamite. Few more best of. And just some other general thoughts. I thought the Dynamite Dozen Battle Royal was okay, but not spectacular. Giving it a C+. It's just weird, man, to have a Battle Royal stop with two people. I mean, the right two people, for sure, with Adam Cole and Kyle O'Reilly advancing to face one another. But it's like, oh man, we're popping, we're getting some eliminations, and then no, there's two guys left and the match is over. No problem. If once it gets down to those two guys, if you turn it into a classic wrestling match right then and there, that would have been fine. But I get it. They want to kind of prolong out the story, so we're going to have a match next week, and man, the winter is coming. Dynamite looking like some great matches on that card as well. It's nice. It's nice that I'm able to get off work and be like, I'm looking forward to going home and watching Dynamite on the old DVR tonight. Haven't always been able to say the case. Did for a while when it first came out, and then I think that AEW has been kind of down. But I don't know if this is really it's just a tournament that's going to go on. Just back to talking about the Continental Classic now, for a little while, and we'll see where my interest level is after it's over. But right now, AEW, not too shabby. But this overall thing with these guys, with this Dynamite Diamond Ring and the story just with MJF, like him having to not be in the Battle Royal. We saw him have to be in the Battle Royal to retain it over the past 3 or 4 years, but now it's pretty much just like it's a championship belt, and he's just waiting on a number one contender for that diamond ring. But they do tie it into the storyline with Adam Cole wanting to get his hands on MJF, which they've tried to make that all logical. I think they've done a decent job, but it just hasn't really worked because Adam Cole's the one that turned, but now the roles have flipped, and Adam Cole's back to being a babyface again. MJF back to being a heel. If it would have been MJF that would have turned, obviously then it works a whole lot better. But at the time they were swerving us, and yeah, it was all right. But then the injuries and everything. But I don't know. I wasn't into the hey, you got to win 3 matches if you want to face me. I just think they could have done a better job with the story, and just MJF overall since he's come back to AEW. I'm like I wonder if he thinks, man, maybe I should have gone to WWE, because his stock is down big time in my book. Not even in the men's top 10, barely in the men's top 25 anymore for the TRP rankings. And just on the videos, like, come to the arena. Like, I don't mind if you're not going to be there for a week or two, and you give me some vignette stuff, but with the drinking of the wine, and I don't know, it just doesn't seem like he's got that aura about him. Maybe it is just because we haven't seen him in the arena, but just like, I don't know, just not operating at that extremely high level that he was before. But I definitely hope that he can get back there. Some other things on Dynamite. Swerve Strickland beating Max Caster. Kind of interesting with Caster. MVP kind of being in his ear, and he's thinking he's the best wrestler of the world, and he goes out and pretty much gets squashed by Swerve. It wasn't a total squash match. Caster got some offense in. It was nice to hear him rap coming to the ring again, but interesting that he did that if they're going to indeed make him a heel and separate him from the Acclaimed. I'm not sure that they do, but we shall see what happens with all of that. At least they're doing something with the Acclaimed right now, because they haven't really for quite a long time. Jay White over Pac. That was kind of surprising. Figured they want to keep the Death Riders unbeatable still, but not the case, giving that a B. And Claudio Castagnoli over Brody King, two of my favorites in the Continental Classic Tournament. They put on a show. Give that a B plus overall dynamite grade. I'm going with a B. Impact. See what I can remember from that. I was kind of gathering some notes for this show while I was watching that. I know I remember Jordan Grace bounced back with a win over Tasha Steeles. Masha Slamovich with the save for Grace. Give that a C+. I remember PCO. Love me some PCO. Anytime he's on my TV, I'm watching. I love him. And Sami Callihan, I remember them winning a tag team match. Give that a B-. Sami Callahan's gotten big since his return, huh? We had the Hardy Boys retaining their tag team titles over the System. I think it might have been a DQ. I'm not sure. That was a good match, though. Give it a B. Going to get another tag title shot December 13th at Turning Point in a tables match for those TNA tag team titles. And if I remember correctly, I think the Faces won a big multi-man tag main event. Don't remember much about it. Too many people in there. I'm not a big fan of 4-on-4, 5-on-5 tag team matches. So no grade for that. TNA overall Impact grade C-. Moving on to SmackDown from Friday night. Tiffany Stratton advancing to the semis of the U.S. Women's Title Tournament. Thought it might be Naomi, but Tiff's a good call. Tells me, though, that it might be Bayley and Tiffany now, with Bayley taking this U.S. Women's Championship first ever time. Could be Bayley as your first ever champ. My pick, Chelsea Green, though. But I don't see Chelsea Green and Tiffany Stratton in the finals, or Meechin and Chelsea Green. I don't see it, man. I don't see it. So I think Bayley would be a good representative of that with all her history, but then again, at the same time, she's a main card star, and this is a mid-card belt. Going C. Bianca Belair, Piper Niven. At first, I was like, I don't know if I'm going to be into this too much, but I gave it a chance, and it was a heck of a match. Nominee for Move of the Week at Kiss of Death on Piper Niven from Bianca Belair. Bad leg and all. Match grade B+. Bianca getting the win in a very hard-fought battle. And how about DIY? Winning the tag team titles once again, dethroning the Motor City Machine Guns. Good heel transformation by Johnny Gargano with the low blow. Man, good stuff. Put Motor City right back on the chase. I liked it. Giving it an A-. We had the new bloodline with the beatdown. Solo Sikoa, very strong on the mic after they lost at Survivor Series War Games. And smart just to have them bounce back, so to speak, by looking strong against some pretty over baby faces. Give that a B+. I thought Kevin Owens and Michael Cole in the car was a lot better than Kevin Owens just being in the car by himself. Give that a B. I thought Cody Rhodes and Chad Gable was fine. It was fine. Good match, but they didn't need almost 15 minutes to set it up at the beginning. I guess they did, otherwise there's no story there, but no long-term investment here, so I really wasn't all that interested. But it was a very solid match. Going to give it a B. Kevin Owens shows up at the end, and him and Cody have to be separated by the officials. Give that overall final match and the aftermath a B. And SmackDown for the week, a solid B. And I did watch Rampage, and I did watch Collision this week. Going to go through that very quickly, though. Rampage, I thought Okada and Mark Briscoe was great, even though I knew that Briscoe had no shot. Going B+. Ricochet and Commander, that was good as well, but just a bunch of pops for the moves only. And not really much investment. Definitely not in Commander. And really not that much in Ricochet either. I don't think that Ricochet has the fans fully behind him since coming to AEW. And his run so far has just been kind of mid. Other stuff happened. I don't really remember. Going Rampage grade C+. Collision, we had some more from our old buddy Commander in the Continental Classic once again, taking on Darby Allin. Nominee for Move of the Week, Darby Allin's Tope Suicina Cannonball, smashing the chair after Commander had moved from it. That was wild, man. Incredibly well executed. You got such a thin margin for error. And then he did it again on Commander without the chair later. Knew Darby would take it, but Commander has been fun to watch as a replacement in this tourney, even though I have no interest other than, like I said, the moves. Overall match grade, B+. Jon Moxley promo, Orange Cassidy interrupting and looking like a fool, getting beat up by the Death Riders. Nobody to save him. I mean, he just walked right into the fire. Idiot. Stupid. Didn't like it. I don't like my baby faces being dumb. Sure, they can be a little bit naive at times, but I don't even really like to see that much. I mean, naive, maybe, no, not really the right word. But, going out there and wanting to prove themselves and trying to be badasses and taking on more than they can handle, shows that they got grit and shows that they got toughness and they're not afraid of anything, yada, yada, yeah. But I didn't like Orange Cassidy looking like an idiot going out there with all those guys. I thought Jon Moxley's promo was pretty darn decent. He definitely commands the mic anytime that he gets it. Sure, he can throw out some cliche lines at times, and I don't think that the Death Riders, are really blowing my socks off anymore as of late. We've kind of shifted away, at least for now, in their whole taking over of the company. I mean, there's still some things that he said that pointed to it a little bit. I did like what he was saying about how nobody deserves to even see the AEW championship. That's why it's in the briefcase. Had a few other good lines, but overall, as a whole for this segment, I'm going C. And more from Collision. Thought Okada and Kyle Fletcher was almost as good, but not quite as good as Fletcher and Shelton Benjamin. They botched a spot, and the ref distraction and the kick on the nuts ending was just a little bit wonky. Not that well executed, but Kyle Fletcher with another huge win, the Continental Classic. He is 3-0. Match grade, a B. Beast Mortos won a squash match. Absolutely horrible, because Mortos should not be wrestling other matches while he is in the tournament. Illogical, lazy booking, an F. And Mark Briscoe, wow. Took him all the way to the last match, I think, before he finally got one win in the Continental Classic. He's already got a win. I think he's 2-3 matches in. Shocking win over Daniel Garcia. Give that a B-. Overall Collision, I'm going B-. And we are on to our show of the week. I watched 7 of them. At number 7, I got TNA Impact. At number 6, I got NXT. Number 5, Rampage. Number 4, Collision. Number 3, Dynamite. Number 2, SmackDown. That means your show of the week, Monday Night Raw. Match of the week, I'm going Kyle Fletcher and Shelton Benjamin. How about moments of the week? At number 3, got Johnny Gargano turning heel and DIY, recapturing the tag team titles. Number 2, I got that New Day heel turn. And number 1, I got Drew McIntyre's return. Move of the week. That's a tough one. Between Belair's KOD and Darby Allin's suicide bomb miss on the chair. I think you got to break it down between a couple of things here. If you're going by crowd pop, how big the crowd was and how loud they were popping all on their feet, just to seem like a bigger moment, I'm going that Belair kiss of death. Sure, that chair was just crazy how it kind of crumbled, and it was probably overall the best move, but you got to factor in everything here, so I'm going Bianca Belair's kiss of death on Piper Niven as the move of the week. Just because I think we had seen her get her up before, but it's like, no way that's happening in this match because her knee's hurt. So they kind of swerved us there. When it happened, it made it even that much more special. Promo of the week. I'm going to have to give a nod at number 3 to Solo Sikoa. So he's still the tribal chief, still has the Ula Falala. Hopefully I didn't butcher that as badly as I have in the past. Still got that. He gets to put up some strong words. It was a nice bounce back. You could see he still believed in himself, still believed in the bloodline, even though the new bloodline lost at Survivor Series. At number 2, got the New Day hating on Big E and their heel turn. And number 1, I'm going Seth and Punk just because that rivalry, I'm very interested in it now for sure. Just some overall few takeaways of the week. I think the Women's United States Championship tournament, way more interesting than the Women's Intercontinental Championship tournament. And, again, the Seth Rollins and CM Punk, maybe at the Royal Rumble, or maybe at WrestleMania, or maybe Raw on Netflix. Got to remember, we do have Raw on Netflix January 6th. Maybe. And definitely New Day turning heel. Has a nice swerve. Drew coming back. And just my love with the Continental Classic this week. And then that transfer portal thing. What do you guys think about the transfer portal? That's pretty interesting. I like how they, stick with what's going on in modern day sports. We get the transfer portal in college sports now, so we're having it in WWE. I think it's a good way to switch some guys around and not have to do the draft. I'm into it. Quickly, we're going to do our top 10 and wrap her up. Don't forget to hit like, follow, subscribe, all that good jazz. Women's Top 10. You can check out the full rankings at thetopropodcast.com. Full top 25s. Number 10, I got Io Sky. She's doing well in the tourney. Number 9, Mercedes Moné, climbing back up a little bit. Number 8, Chelsea Green. Number 7, Bayley. Number 6, Tiffany Stratton. 5, Bianca Belair. Mariah May doing very well again. Her rivalry with Mina Shirakawa. She's at number 4. Nia Jax 3. Liv Morgan 2. Rhea Ripley at number 1. On the men's side of things, I got Braun Breaker at 10. Solo Sikoa at 9. Sami Zayn at 8. Gunther at 7. You're not going to believe this. My interest level in Cody Rhodes has not been that high of late. I got him all the way down at number 6. 5, Drew McIntyre. 4, Seth Rollins. 3, CM Punk. 2, Jey Uso. And number 1, the OTC, Roman Reigns. That's this week's episode. God bless.